Everyone, welcome to Maych TV. You know football's back, right? Yeah? And you know it's back because Liverpool are champions, and we've been talking about it non-stop for a good week or so now, and expect that to continue for until the next league title is decided, basically. The other way you know football's back is that the 888 Sport boys are back. They're back shouting at each other in a room, and this week they've been debating whether Liverpool are the Premier League's best ever, which is an opportunity, of course, for troops to show on in the Invincibles and other things to be said like this.
Hold on, Troop. Hold on.
Go on.
I ain't talking about Tottenham, blood. You get me? I ain't talking about Tottenham. I'm talking about teams, innit? Man United had a better squad. You lot got 11 players, blood.
Yes.
One man, if Salah dies and he twists his ankle,
Yes.
bruv,
I've
you're
said that
done,
for time.
man. Who you got?
Minamino. Origi.
You're dead food,
Are you
fam.
mad?
Red Bull
Origi.
sauce, man. Less
Get out of
man.
it.
You get me? Man United, fam, them man had ballers, blood. They had a man that can come on the pitch for 2 minutes and score a hat-trick like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
So why did they...
We've missed them, haven't we? Be honest. Be honest, we've missed them. Look, first of all, go over there and check out the full video. I'll link to it in the description underneath, and I'll take to it at the end as well. But go over there, say Maych sent you, and give you a little thumbs up and all that kind of stuff, and leave your opinion on the topic. But I don't want to get too embroiled in it all, because I think it's a very subjective thing when we talk about who were the Premier League's best ever, and it's a hot topic at the moment because we're seeing it. Because I'll be honest with you, I'll level with you 100%. I genuinely wish I had recorded this video before we lost 4-0 to Man City, because it would have been so much easier for me to make the case on how amazing Liverpool are. But what it does is it actually strengthens my actual thoughts and opinions on this. Is that I don't think there is such a thing as the Premier League's best ever. The same way that there shouldn't really be classed as a best footballer ever. I mean, that is only upset by the fact that Lionel Messi exists, who is the best footballer of all time, ever. And then insert everyone over the age of 40 or 50 going, no, it was Pele, or Maradona. The way I choose to look at things is that there is a top bracket. And this is entirely a theory ruined by the existence of Lionel Messi, who is part alien. I think we all know that. We can all definitely agree on that one, whether you're a Ronaldo fanboy or not. But there's a top bracket in football and across all time, etc., etc. So I think, are Liverpool the Premier League's best ever? No, they're not. Because, look, this is Liverpool's first Premier League title, and I don't want to get sucked into the football existed before 1992. It just did, and Liverpool won 18 league titles in that time, and it was great. So yeah, but I mean, for the sake of it, whether you want to call it the top division or the Premier League, we're splitting hairs. You all know what I mean. English top flight, best ever. I think it depends on what metric by which you're measuring this. And Arsenal fans, and we saw this after Liverpool lost to Manchester City, and for some reason Arsenal fans took to Twitter, because it's what they've got. It's what they've got to bring to the table in conversation, to start going. And this just show Liverpool losing to Man City shows how good the Invincibles were. Does it though? Is it connected in any way, shape or form? No, but it's nice to have something to bring to the conversation, isn't it, to be perfectly honest? Which is why I think it's really funny when you've got expressions in videos like this. Great, nice one. They could have got an Evertonian. At least Everton have won the league. You know what I mean? Everton have got some pedigree. Tottenham, I mean, it's one of the most forgettable football club in the history of top flight football. Gary Lineker was good, wasn't he? Gaza was good. We remember that, right? I certainly do. Anything else? Pochettino was good for a spell. They got to the Champions League final. They had that game against that. I'm being unfair. There's no need for me to dive in on Tottenham here at all. Anyway, I'm getting sucked into the 888 spirit. No, it depends on the metric by which you wish to measure it. Now, the guy in the Liverpool fan in the video there makes a reasonable point, and he talks about, like, statistically, and the points that Liverpool put down, this whole rolling 38 game thing's a bit of a nonsense. It's a wonderful made up stat. It's like all those Man United fans sharing those tables of the Premier League table from when Bruno Fernandes signed, as if that's a reasonable cutting off points to measure league seasons from. But it's I don't really ascribe to that. That's just something that's nice. That just shows form. That just shows how good a team's been over a spell of time. There's no such thing as a rolling 38 game thing. There's no awards, no trophies for it. You've got to do it in the actual 38 games contained within your season. And Liverpool right now they're on course to break the Premier League points record. I think it's 104 points they can get if they win the remaining 6. Now, what we've seen so far is a draw, a win, and a defeat in the first 3 games back since football has started. So on that form, they won't break that. If they do, I think you can use that as a metric, and you can enter into the conversation about the best ever. Because if you break the points record, then you can say, I think you've got a reasonable case to go, that's the best Premier League team ever, because they have no team in Premier League history has ever gotten that many points, never accrued that many points in a season, and I think that's a pretty good way. So for me, on that metric, Manchester City are the best Premier League side of all time. And I would actually argue, if we stretch that argument out, and I think the argument has to be over a couple of seasons, I think 2 or 3 seasons at best, because it's why it makes Man United really difficult in the conversation, because Man United win every argument about the Premier League ever because they've been the biggest, the most successful football club during the Premier League. 13 Premier League trophies, as they'll all kindly remind you, and they will keep reminding you, because again, it's the only thing they've got to bring to the table at the moment, other than the fact that Mason Greenwood's dead good, and he is very good looking player, gonna have a big ceiling, big future, probably not at Manchester United. So no need for the bitterness, there's no need for me to do it, I just can't. It's tough, because Manchester United, if you were a Man United fan and you were an adult from 92 till present day, that'll feel like the same team to you because it had Alex Ferguson in charge, but it was not the same team. Teams go through eras, so I think it's fair to look at a team over maybe up to a 5-year period. And in that regard, I look at Manchester City, and if Man City win, and it's hard because again we're talking about Premier League, but I think it's got to be more than that. I think you've got to be able to have delivered on the European stage as well. Because like the great Barcelona sides, nobody defines Barcelona by the La Liga titles they win. They're defined by the European Cups they won as well, or during that period. That's how you truly know you're an elite side, when you're able to lift the European Cup and all. So if Man City win the Champions League this season, I think this Pep Guardiola Manchester City side is the best Premier League side of all time. And I don't really think it's up for debate, to be perfectly honest. 2 back-to-back Premier League titles, breaking points records as they go, doing the Centurions thing, and then lifting a European Cup at the end of it over a 3-year spell, and winning all the domestic cups pretty much available to them in that time as well, I think puts them above and beyond, what everyone else has achieved. But you can look back I could look back at the Manchester United side from like 92 to 96, the first Premier League era side, the Cantona side, and say that's probably up there. The one in and around the 99 treble winning season. Yeah, you could pick that. You could pick a few different Man United sides to go into that. But for me, Manchester City, in breaking those points records, and bear in mind, this is not, Manchester United have never come close to the points tallies that City and Liverpool have put down in the last couple of seasons. And this is the thing, you can't even argue. The argument against putting Liverpool in that bracket or putting City in that bracket is rendered moot because of the existence of Man City and the existence of Liverpool on either side of it, because it wasn't like they ran uncontested to that. And I'm sure there'll be people who try to denigrate Liverpool's title win this season by looking at the points gap. But again, this Man City side, particularly if this Man City side goes on and wins the European Cup, it may not do, because it might just not have the ability to do that. It's all if buts and maybes, but they were pushed all the way as well, and in being pushed were still capable of achieving. You then get people with the nostalgic kind of caps and hats on, using it whichever way they want to define their arguments of like, well, it is the rest of the league crap. It's funny, isn't it, how we think that, look, in terms of the money and the level and the skill level in the Premier League all across the board is far higher than it was in the 90s, because football's moved on, football's evolved. You watch it, it's like watching early 90s Premier League. It's like watching rugby league on the telly, or now watching like League One footy. It's a higher standard, but what I mean is, in just terms of the whole package and the skill levels and the pace levels and the physicality levels, the level of Premier League now is far beyond what it was like in the 1990s. And people people who would argue that point now, there's lots of people who would probably argue that point now because it doesn't serve their argument, because it was looking to knock Liverpool down, have probably made that point in and amongst themselves in arguments when they're defining how good their current team is. Maybe you've argued with your dad when you say, like, again, I have this argument with my dad over Messi and Maradona and Pele at the top of it. I say Messi's the best ever, and he's like, no, Pele is. And there's no true comparison, but my argument would always be, footy's just loads better now. Everything about it, and his argument would be, well, football was loads tougher back then, and you had to be more brutal, and the balls weighed absolutely like cannonballs, and you had to play in big chunky leather boots and all that. There's no doubting that maybe it's not as violent, but in terms of the levels that you've got to achieve, half the players in the 90s were still out on the piss every night, or still drinking on the day before, eating steak and chips before the game. It's mad. It's barely even the same sport by comparison. So I think that the Man United teams warrant being in the conversation. You can't ever take Man United out of the conversation. That the Arsenal Invincibles is a great achievement, and I know Man United fans are quick to try and do that down. Going unbeaten for a whole season is phenomenal. It is phenomenal. It's not like, no, it's not the perfect game. It's not winning every game, which would be far and away beyond, and that's why I don't think Invincible is quite up on the super tip top pedestal, to be perfectly honest, because yeah, you get that extra goal Premier League trophy, which would be absolutely lovely, but I think I'd rather win more football matches. I'd rather see my team win more games. I'd rather see Liverpool's lost draw record of like what, two games lost over the season, and what is it, if we've even had a couple of draws or whatever in there, a handful more draws. And I'm not undercutting Invincible. I think it should be held up there, but I think they're in the conversation, and in Man City, and I think if Liverpool, I think getting to 2 European Cup finals back to back, winning one and then winning a league, puts Liverpool into the conversation. I think how they perform next season will define whether they can be classed as one of the best of all time, if I'm being perfectly honest. And that's me up there with the most humanly biased people towards Liverpool Football Club that it can be. But I'm also not stupid, and I think what Liverpool need to do more and need to establish themselves more. And Klopp said himself, he only really counts this as the second season of this team. It wasn't until the first season when we got back into the Champions League where we put together the front three. And we've really been able to have a go at it. We had Virgil van Dijk. The team wasn't completed or as close to being in this form until then. So I think another season or two will define whether Liverpool go into it. But for me, I take your pick between any of the Man United sides that were successful in small, over a 2 or 3 season period. Take the Arsenal team from the end of the 90s, start of the noughties. Take the Chelsea side from the mid noughties, and take this Manchester City side that we're currently watching as well, and put them in the top bracket, because splitting hairs between them is just, I don't know, it's fun. It's fun to have the conversation. There's no need to get wound up about it. There's no need to get angry and shouty about it, because we should be able to recognise they were all fantastic football sides, and they enriched our lives, the lives of the fans, and they made the standard of the Premier League what it is as well while it was ongoing. So yeah, but listen, if you want to pick one between them, let me know in the comments. If you want to go over there, please do it. It makes me look good. To go over there, say Maych sent me, and then leave your opinion in the comments underneath on their video. Drop a like if you want to support what I'm doing over here. You can do patreon.com/Maych. I've also got a gaming channel over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Maych Gaming. If you want to come over there, I'm doing a Pro Evo career mode, which is always very, very good fun. Very good fun indeed. Other than that, thank you very much, guys. Have an amazing weekend. And just don't forget, in amongst all of this, Liverpool are the champions of England.